What if the most powerful man in the world had a dark secret buried deep in his past? What if an accusation, decades old, resurfaced at the peak of his political reign? And what if that accusation was not just damaging, but potentially career-ending? This is not a story from a movie. This is real. And at the center of it all stands one name: Donald J. Trump. Today, we dive deep into one of the most explosive allegations made against a former U.S. president, an accusation that shook the political world to its core. But before we jump to conclusions, let's start where it all began. Jean Carroll isn't just anyone. She's a well-known advice columnist, journalist, and author. For years, her column ran in Elle magazine, where she answered reader questions and built a strong following. She was admired by many, respected in the media industry, and had been a public figure for decades. But in June 2019, everything changed. Carroll published an article in New York Magazine, adapted from her upcoming memoir, What Do We Need Men For? In that article, she alleged something shocking: that Donald Trump raped her in a Bergdorf Goodman department store dressing room in Manhattan in the mid-1990s. Let that sink in. Not harassment, not inappropriate conduct, but rape. A direct, brutal, and career-destroying accusation. Carroll claimed she had kept silent for more than 20 years. She said she feared the backlash, the shame, and didn't want to become just another victim people point fingers at. But why speak out now? Why, after all this time? The year was 2019. Donald Trump was the sitting president of the United States and gearing up for re-election. He had already faced a storm of controversies, including the Stormy Daniels scandal, the Access Hollywood tape, and several women accusing him of inappropriate behavior. It was a politically explosive time. The Jersey Me Too movement had empowered many women to speak out about powerful men abusing their positions. Names like Harvey Weinstein and Jeffrey Epstein were dominating headlines. And then Jean Carroll stepped into the spotlight. Many critics and commentators couldn't help but ask the question: was this accusation a genuine cry for justice? Or was it a strategic move in the political chess game? Because if it was about justice, why wait until Trump was the most powerful man in the world? Why not go public before, when he was just a businessman or reality TV star? Carroll's explanation? She said it was about personal strength, that she had finally found the courage to share her story, and that the political climate made it feel like now or never. According to Carroll, it all happened in the mid-1990s. She ran into Donald Trump at Bergdorf Goodman, a luxury department store in Manhattan, not far from Trump Tower. They exchanged greetings. Trump, she said, recognized her from TV. He allegedly asked her to help pick out a gift for a woman, and they started walking through the store, joking and laughing. Eventually, they ended up in the lingerie section. Trump reportedly suggested she try on a piece as a joke. Carroll laughed it off, and then things escalated. According to her, he followed her into the dressing room, and that's where the alleged assault happened. Carroll claimed that within minutes, she was pushed against the wall, held down, and raped. She said she fought back, pushed him off, and eventually ran out of the store. It was a chilling, graphic description. But the first question on everyone's mind was, where was the proof? The story sparked immediate outrage. Mainstream media picked it up quickly. CNN, MSNBC, The New York Times all covered it with urgency. Social media exploded with hashtags like Chance Believe Women and Chaz Trump Rape. On the other side, conservatives called it a hoax. They said the timing was too perfect, that it was another attempt to sabotage Trump before the next election. Many questioned the fact that Carol didn't file a police report at the time. She didn't save physical evidence. There were no surveillance tapes, no eyewitnesses. Still, Carol said she confided in two close friends immediately after the incident. They allegedly told her not to go public, because he's too powerful and you'll never win. But public opinion was already split. Liberals hailed Carol as a hero. Conservatives saw her as part of a smear campaign. Trump, for his part, responded immediately and aggressively. Donald Trump didn't just deny the allegations. He attacked them head-on. He said he had never met E. Jean Carroll in his life, that she wasn't his type, that the story was made up to sell books. He even claimed that a photo circulating online showing him with Carroll and others was misleading and decades old. His official White House statement described the accusation as completely false and unrealistic. He didn't hold back. He called it fiction, a political hit job, and disgusting. But was his aggressive denial a sign of innocence or guilt? That became the million-dollar question. So, why did this particular case blow up? One reason: timing. 2020 was just around the corner, and Trump's political enemies were already sharpening their knives. Another reason: Carol's credibility. She wasn't a random accuser. She was a respected media figure. She'd been on TV. She'd written for major publications. She wasn't easy to dismiss. And finally, the cultural climate. The Me Too movement had shifted public opinion massively. People were no longer brushing aside old accusations. Every powerful man was under the microscope. But still, no charges were filed. No police reports were opened. No criminal investigation was launched. Instead, Carol filed a defamation lawsuit, claiming that Trump's denial had damaged her reputation and caused emotional harm. And that's when the real legal drama began. So, to sum it all up, a decades-old allegation resurfaces during one of the most politically tense periods in U.S. history. A famous writer accuses the sitting president of a violent crime, with no physical evidence, no police report, and no criminal trial. Instead, the battle moves to the civil courts and the court of public opinion. But what came next was even more shocking. Names were named, evidence was brought forward, and the world watched as the case unfolded in dramatic fashion. In part 2 of this story, we'll dive into the details, the evidence presented, the witnesses called, the timeline of events, and the people behind the scenes who shaped this case. And trust me, things get even more twisted.